true that the U.S. doesn't have any authentic national dishes? Or is that just a myth? Hi, I'm Jason, and this is Jason's Easy English, a podcast that helps you improve your English and learn about American culture with clear, understandable episodes in authentic, everyday language. Today, I'm going to share a simple conversation between me and my Spanish friend Javier about 10 foods that are truly American. But first, we need to talk about a big idea. Does America even have its own cuisine? And a quick reminder, if you enjoy this content, please don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So before I tell you about my conversation with Javier, let me explain something important. People often say that the United States has no real national cuisine, no original or authentically American dishes. They say American food is just fast food like hamburgers, hot dogs, pizza. But that's a myth, at least partially. The U.S. actually has a rich culinary history, and the biggest reason is probably immigration. People from Italy, Mexico, China, Japan, Germany, Ireland, West Africa, and many other places have come to the United States, and they've brought with them their cooking traditions. But Americans didn't just copy those dishes, they adapted them. They mixed flavors. They created something new. Take, for example, the California roll, which is a sushi roll with avocado and crab. This was invented in the United States. It was inspired, of course, by Japanese sushi, but it was adjusted to American tastes. Or think about the Chicago deep dish pizza, a very thick pizza baked in a deep pan. So think in Portuguese like uma pizza de massa grossa estilo Chicago, or in Spanish, pizza de masa gruesa estilo Chicago. So deep dish pizza looks very different from traditional Italian pizza. It's not traditional Italian pizza, but deep dish pizza became a symbol of Chicago. And then there's Tex-Mex, a style of food mixing Texas and Mexican flavors. It developed in the U.S. border region. It's not traditional Mexican food. It's its own cuisine, something original. Also, the United States is a gigantic country. Sometimes it makes more sense to think about regional dishes instead of national dishes. For example, food in Louisiana is different than food in Maine. Texas is very different from California, and the South is different from New England. Now, let me tell you about my conversation with Javier. One day Javier said to me, "Come on, Jason. American food, admit it. American food is just burgers and fries." I laughed and I said, let's take a closer look, Javier. First, we talked about the hamburger. The name comes from Germany, sure, but the modern hamburger became famous in American diners and during road trips. It's connected to American car cultures and highways. Then I mentioned barbecue, which is slow-cooked meat over fire or smoke. In the American South, barbecue is very serious. In Texas, people love smoked brisket. In North Carolina, it's often pulled pork. Each region has its own style and sauce. Next, I told him about mac and cheese, or macaroni and cheese. That's pasta with melted cheese sauce. It's a classic comfort food in many American homes. Families often bake it until the top is golden and slightly crispy. Then I said, "Wait, have you ever tried jambalaya?" Jambalaya is a rice dish with meat, seafood, and spices, and it comes from Louisiana. It shows French, Spanish, and West African influences. It's bold, spicy, and a good example of a regional dish. After that, I talked about buffalo wings. Those are fried chicken wings tossed in a spicy sauce. They were created in Buffalo, New York. Today, they're especially popular during football games like the Super Bowl. In the U.S., food and sports always go together. I also mentioned the lobster roll. That's a sandwich filled with lobster meat. This dish is famous in Maine and other parts of New England. It's usually eaten in the summer near the ocean. It reflects coastal life in that region. And yes, the lobster roll was invented in the United States. It's a classic, authentic, original American dish. Next came chili. Chili is a thick stew made with meat, beans, and chili peppers, and other seasonings. Chili is especially popular in Texas and other parts of the American Southwest. And here's something funny. Some Texans say real chili shouldn't have beans. There's kind of a debate about that in the United States, and this shows how strong regional opinions can be. After I mentioned all of these foods, Javier looked a little surprised. He said, "Okay, I guess I didn't know American food was so regional." And that's the key. American cuisine is not one single ancient recipe. It's a mix of immigrant traditions, local ingredients, and regional identity. In Brazil, you might think of feijoada as a national dish. In Spain, maybe it's paella. In the United States, it's hard to choose just one. Because the country is so large and diverse, it makes more sense to talk about barbecue in the South, or seafood in New England, spicy dishes in Louisiana and Texas, and maybe sushi in California or Washington State. So when someone says, the U.S. has no real cuisine, I don't agree. American food tells the story of immigration, geography, and creativity. And that sounds pretty authentic to me. All right, I hope that conversation was interesting and understandable. But before I let you go, let's review the main points of today's episode. Today, we learned that the idea that the United States has no authentic cuisine is a myth. The country has a rich culinary history shaped by immigration and strong regional traditions. We talked about 10 foods: the California roll, deep dish pizza, and Tex-Mex as immigrant-inspired creations, then the hamburger, barbecue, and mac and cheese as classic American comfort foods, and regional specialties like jambalaya from Louisiana, buffalo wings from New York, lobster rolls from Maine, and chili from Texas. Together, these dishes show how diverse and creative American food really is. Notice I said diverse and creative, but not necessarily healthy. That's a topic for another episode. All right, that's all I have for today. I hope you were able to understand most of the episode and learn something new about American culture. Be sure to follow or subscribe to my podcast, and please share Jason's Easy English with your friends who are also learning English. Thanks a lot for listening, and I'll see you at the next episode.